So the next presenter will be the sixth, and it'll be the halfway point. So after they're done, we're going to take a 10-minute break, stretch your legs, use the restroom facilities. We are going to have a reward ceremony here in the Schwartz Center that starts at 5:30. After the last presentation, we'll ask you to clear the room, and then we'll set the room up in a awards ceremony style, and we'll invite you back in for a nice evening of networking, food, and drink. One of the themes that we've had in today's presenters, we've had a lot of Schwartz Fellows, Innovation Scholars, and Innovation Commercialization Fellows. Gweneth is one of those Schwartz Fellows, so let's hand it over to Gweneth and the BioVita team.
Thank you. Okay, so BioVita is an AI platform for biopharma companies to accelerate drug approvals. Let me share a story first. BMS and Johnson & Johnson are two famous drug companies that are racing to launch the first diabetes drug into the market. And BMS was a few months earlier until they failed to justify to the FDA that their drug may lead to bladder cancer, and that's shown in their clinical trial data. And FDA asked them to redo the test and postpone the delay to 10 months. And during that time, Johnson & Johnson advanced the journey and became the first company to launch the diabetes drug. Because of this, BMS has lost billions of dollars potential revenue, not to mention the reputation. So in the trillion biopharma markets, speed is not optional, but survival. But here's the reality. Billions of data were generated through the clinical trial process, and data is just not numbers. It's context. It has context, comments, and text from physicians and patients' data, clinical sites. These are all maybe easily to overlooked, but the key to justify their drugs' efficiency and safety. 23 million hours were reported to put on the FDA regulations documentation annually, and $10 million will be lost just due to a single data breach. And here's come to BioVita Intelligence. It provides two big things. One, actionable clinical insights, and two, the automatic drafting regulatory documentations. Let me replay the BMS story, but this time with BioVita. With BioVita, it first deployed locally on the BMS local server and ensured the data safety, and then digs through all their clinical trials data and found out that there may be something wrong with their patient selection. For example, the patient they selected for the clinical trials data may have potential health condition that lead to the bladder cancer in the future rather than their drugs. So they would raise the question to BMS that asked them to take actions, maybe reevaluate the patient selection or to make a strategy for future justification to the FDA. After taking the action and making the suggestion and making action, BioVita will help BMS to file the FDA regulatory documentation and keeping their timing advantage to become the winner in that race. Why BioVita can achieve this? We have, BioVita is specifically trained with FDA regulations data and life sciences, so it knows what it did. Also, it will safely connect with the documents and data in the clinical trials so that when drug companies ask questions about their drugs, they can not only provide actionable insights, but also tracing back to their own data. The benefits are clear. It provides a faster time to market drug, and it can increase the FDA approval rate while protecting their data. We have, I'm happy to elaborate the competitors' landscape, but I'll skip this and pass it to my teammates.
So we use a simple business model, subscription. We differentiate usage based on the number of clinical trials. So as users want to put more clinical trials on our system, they can upgrade to a higher tier. There will also be a one-time on-premise implementation charge in line with the industry standard. Our target market is at $6.7 billion. However, we probably won't be able to capture everyone. The largest biopharma companies, they have internal AI teams. The smallest ones, smaller biotech companies, they don't have enough clinical trials or the budget for our services. So we're looking at the customers with active clinical trials but lack internal AI capabilities. We're looking at the mid-sized biopharma companies, mid-tier contract research organizations who specifically do clinical trial services for pharma companies as well as academic medical centers. So we have secured partnership with the CMU Biology Lab to develop our MVP, which gives us access to 100+ terabytes of research data over 30 researchers spanning 5 years. And that will be the phase one of our go-to-market strategy. Once we have the MVP, we will collaborate with pilot programs with biotech companies to put this into clinical settings. And then once we have our full product developed, we will initially targeting mid-tier contract research organizations as our initial customers because they run a large number of clinical trials. And after that, we'll start to target the broader biopharmaceutical market. Our team combined unique experiences in biology research, startup experiences, biotech industry, computer science, as well as cybersecurity. And we have worked with our advisors who are industry leaders in biotech industry, as well as startup founders and academic professors. Thank you for BioVita Intelligence.
Thank you. Lisa?
Two questions. One is the $250,000 charge. Do you have any sense, have you talked with this mid-tier biopharma? Is that something that they can actually afford?
So based on, we are still doing ongoing customer discoveries. We have talked to 10 plus pharma companies. So our understanding at this current stage is annually they might have $1 to $5 million of budget for softwares for data analytics for clinical trials. And then their budget roughly for single product, it ranges very broadly, but it's from $100,000 to $500,000.
Okay, thank you. And as you're talking to these, who is the end user, the targeted end user within these organizations? And have you done any high-level user requirement gathering to start to think about the user interface?
So we are still, we are a very early stage company, so we are still in the middle of our customer discoveries. At the current stage, our thinking will be, it will be the decision makers and designers who's in the clinical development team or the medical affairs team.
Matt.
And users for our product.
Matt, then Ed.
Can you elaborate? I'm unclear. Are you running your AI analytics on patient enrollment and compatibility or clinical endpoints and trial design? I'm not smart enough to understand that screen.
This goes along with my question. I mean, you guys have like 3 different big AI solutions baked in here, right? You've got the NLP to extract the text, right, from the clinical data. You've got the RAG that's trying to address the documents, right? And then you've got the LLM that's like hard to manage accuracy. So you seem to have baked in 3 hard AI problems into one business here. Do you really need to solve all 3 of those, or maybe some of those are more valuable than others?
There is only one LLM model. So like a very lightweight LLM model we are going to develop, and there is an advanced RAG system that we are going to attach to that LLM model. So that RAG is able to capture like the documents and the data, which is generated through clinical trials and maybe the previous experiment data. So that RAG will give us the enhanced context, and that all the things like the prompt, query, and the context will go to our LLM model, lightweight LLM model. And that gives the insights, and even that model can able to document the FDA compliance document.
Okay.
Is everybody running off the same LLM, or are they customer specific? Is there some base LLM that's then specialized by customer because they have certain data and knowledge that's proprietary that they want?
Yeah, so for initially we are using Llama 3.2 because it's a very lightweight and it can be deployed in edge devices like mobile phones.
Right, but that's just the tech. I mean, I'm talking about the actual, data that's fed into it.
So like there is only one LLM model.
So Johnson & Johnson and Bristol Myers Squibb are both using the same model to sort of do drug discovery?
We can definitely fine tune the model according to the user customer requirement, but currently we are targeting only one LLM model.
And I would add this point that the models will be deployed locally so that the data is keeping with their organization. Thank you.
Aaron and then Rezin.
Yeah. I actually worked at Bristol Myers Squibb during this time. It's interesting. There were also some elements about the efficacy of the other drug too that played into a part of it. But maybe talk a little bit about, so what follow-ups have you talked with the pharma companies like BMS and others to so what happened after this debacle in 2014, and how has AI transformed sort of whatever was done today?
So we're primarily using the BMS and Johnson & Johnson story to illustrate the importance of speed. But according to our customer discovery and talking to the pharma, the pain points was actually talking to the data, especially the text within the data, because right now the clinical data softwares, they only analyze the numbers, and they can have fancy visualizations, but the nuances in the text, which are also generated through the $1 million clinical trials, are lost. So that is actually the key points that we're trying to address. And we're not saying BMS did a good job on the trial design or that.
Thank you for pointing out. And I will add to, so FDA published a report that there are top 3 reasons why they got a rejection of the drug approval, because the top one would be safety and efficacy to prove it works and safely to the humans. And second would be manufacturing, like chemistry and how they're doing with their drugs. And third
Okay,
would
we'll
be
have to stop right there. Thank you very much.
documentation.
All right.